So the first thing to do is to get good at feeling. And I honestly believe that the best, most effective initial way to do that is breath work. Transformational breath work, shamanic breath work, biodynamic breath work, awakened breath work, holotropic breath work. These are all more intense, consciously connected breathing, slightly more subtle, but will still eventually be effective. Because what happens is when we breathe and we're flooding our body with oxygen, it takes us out of our mind. That's why I love it. If I'm doing a coaching session with someone and I can tell they're on the cusp of going into the emotional, there's that old saying, you got to feel it to heal it. And on some level, it's true. And I'm going to explain how that can also be toxic in a way, what I just said, in it, like as we get through this podcast. But you do have to go there and be with the emotions. If we just talk about what happens without going to the emotions first, then the emotions are still in there controlling someone's behavior, because again, their head's going to constantly be trying to avoid them and guide them away from it. So your head is controlling your life and you're doing things you don't even want to do, all because you're trying to avoid feeling the pain that's underneath. But if you can feel it, let it out, that can cause a lot of reprieve and a lot of freedom can get excavated through that. So breath work, getting us so into our body. When I guide a breathwork journey for somebody, what I was actually saying a moment ago is if I'm in a healing and they're close to the emotions, but they just keep getting in their head about it, I just get them to do breathing, even for 5 or 10 minutes. And then boom, they can't help but feel the emotions. Because when you're in your body and when the emotions are there, it brings the emotions up. Yes, you could control yourself out of it if you really wanted. But if your intention is to learn to feel and you go into a guided breathwork journey, then you're probably going to be able to feel. And that is because you're so out of your head, because the oxygenation of the body and the blood creates just this full body experience, because there's so much shift happening in your bloodstream, and your bloodstream goes over your entire body. So it creates this focus on the body. It's not all that breath work does, but it's in the function of feeling emotion, it is brilliant. Brilliant. Now, this leads me to my next point. I said stage 1 is learning how to feel. Learning how to feel by yourself is confronting. Oftentimes, the emotional pain that we have, what happens on the healing journey on one layer is that the further along the healing journey we go, the more our nervous system feels safe to hold intense emotional pain. The further along the journey, the more pain we've held, the more our nervous system trusts us with pain that's in there. And so what I've always found on the healing journey with clients is that layers get peeled back. Usually when I start doing inner child work with someone, the age of their inner child is a little bit older, and the longer the healing work I do with them and the emotional work I do with them, their inner child appears in their mind and in their field as a younger version of themselves. And usually there's like more deeply felt pain with the younger traumas, because someone's more dependent, more vulnerable, and therefore the perception of pain from a real young dependent baby can be bigger than the perception of pain from a 7-year-old. Not to judge, and it's not always linear like that, but I find that people's nervous systems, the more that they feel, the more the nervous system then trusts that person to feel even more. And so it's a layered approach. It's a layered journey. And so the reason I'm pre-framing this is because my initial suggestion is that if you don't have the ability to hold physical discomfort, emotional discomfort in your physical body, and to feel those emotions yourself because you're new to it and your nervous system hasn't built up that trust, that safety yet, knowing that you can hold it, because you can't yet. You haven't proved that you can. You haven't learnt to yet. It can be really powerful to have someone else hold space for you, to start delving into your emotions in healing sessions, breath work. I just reckon breath work is brilliant to start. So I'm just going to encourage breath work. But there are lots of other ways as well. There's like full emotional healing sessions where there's breath, sound, and movement all combined into different ways, or there's talk therapy combined with somatic work and embodiment work, getting you into the body and then letting things out by gesturing and doing emotional release techniques like smashing pillows and primal stomping and primal thrusting and wailing, which is like when you are down on your knees and you're looking up to the heavens and you're kind of faking cries, but it leads to authentic cries, kind of like laughing classes. Laughing can be another way that emotions and energy gets extracted from the body, released from the body, or felt. So I initially recommend having someone that can help hold space for you while you're learning to hold it for yourself, right? I really recommend that. And it could be, as long as you're with someone that can hold space, that's very experienced, and you have the knowing in your nervous system, in your body, you can trust yourself to go, I trust this person, whether it's plant medicine, whether it's breath work, whether you're doing it with a psychologist and that's what you need to feel safe, those credentials, or whether you just can feel that someone's got you and you trust them because you've built up that rapport with them. But having someone that can assist you and hold space earlier on that journey to teach you how to feel and to be there and hold the pain that you might not be able to hold for yourself, that's really valuable. That's really valuable. And the reason that it can be valuable is when we're learning how to feel and we don't feel safe in our emotions initially in our nervous system, the littlest thing can cause you to cover up and close up again. I'm projecting here in the sense that for me, if I've got emotional vulnerability present and I'm around people that don't feel comfortable in their own emotions, them just saying one thing can just have me close up. They just might be like, oh, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. And then I'm just like, boom, I feel like I'm being judged. Oh, I'm closed. Emotion's not coming out anymore. Or someone just says, cool, what are you feeling now? And it's set at a point where they're just like not giving me enough space to be with myself. Boom, I close up. So someone that's very practiced and experienced, very embodied in the sense that, you know, they've gone there on their own emotional healing journey and they can really hold that space in a way that creates safety for you and teaches you how to feel safe. That can be just instrumental for the trajectory of your emotional healing journey. Yeah, meaning that it can make the journey go a lot quicker because slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you're working with someone that makes it smooth because they go slowly, they know how to create safety and it makes the process smooth for you, and nothing happens in your first exposures to emotional healing, it's not super jarring, then that smoothness creates more speed. Whereas if you try to feel and you have some really, like you have a bad trip in a plant medicine journey because you do it by yourself, or you do it with a friend and you consider it to be a bad trip, essentially more came up than what you knew how to hold. And so you're like, that was terrible. That's jarring. That's not smooth. That's not going to lead to fast unfolding of your emotions. That's going to lead to probably covering up and tucking your emotional development journey in a box and putting it away for a while before readdressing it. So anyway, initially it's about learning to feel. You can learn to feel at my Art of Courage workshop. I teach it. You can go to breathwork events. You can work with practitioners that you trust that are emotional healing practitioners, or you can do a one-to-one breathwork or a group breathwork, as long as it's somewhere that you feel called to go and you feel safe. For getting support and space holding, where someone has been there and they can hold you in it and that elevates your safety, really big, awesome initial thing to do. Anyway, so learning to feel is important. That's the first stage of this, because if it's something that's new, if you get reps in, not there's a competition or we're trying to like win at it, but if you get exposure to feeling, then your body and nervous system starts to feel safer and you start to know how to feel. So instead of feelings coming up and that controller coming in and just instantly trying to suppress away, come up with some stories to distract and not feel, get up in the head, all the personality patterns, protection strategies come in, or all the addictive tendencies start to consume your mind. Instead of that happening, you actually start to learn to feel. That's so important and instrumental. And that's where I say breath work, somatic release work, emotional release work, healing work, trauma work, inner child work, internal family systems, parts work, all these different beautiful modalities, even things like completion process with Teal Swan, or even I'm not a massive fan of it, even NLP or timeline therapy, anything that can get you to feel can be productive and valuable.